Looking for a fun way to boost your English? Quick chats, easy tips, and a whole lot of poppin' energy, all in one place. This is Podcast Popcorn. Let's pop into it and make learning fun.
Okay, so picture this. You're in a really important meeting, you share what you think is a brilliant idea, and then crickets. Then, like 5 minutes later, a colleague pipes up, says basically the exact same thing, maybe just a bit louder.
And suddenly everyone thinks they're the genius.
Exactly. Or, maybe you feel totally competent, totally on top of your game right up until the moment you have to ask for a raise, especially if you're doing it in English. That sudden freeze.
That's such a common experience, that frustration.
Yeah.
And, often it's not that your idea wasn't good or that you don't deserve the raise. It's really about how that competence was communicated. Or maybe wasn't communicated effectively.
Right. Well, welcome everyone to the Deep Dive brought to you by Podcast Popcorn. Today we're focusing specifically on you, professional women, particularly if you're around that A2 plus or B1 English level.
Yeah, we're going deep today. We want to move beyond just basic communication. We're talking about using smart English to really command respect, get that recognition you deserve, both at work and, honestly, in life generally.
We've pulled together some really interesting sources for this. We've got psychological studies, specifically field experiments on public speaking anxiety in women versus men.
And also some very practical career advice from women leaders who've navigated these waters successfully. Plus, we've got English guides that focus specifically on the kind of vocabulary that builds authority.
Because the core issue we see emerging from all this is that sometimes even quite small communication habits, little language tics you might not even notice, they can chip away at your professional credibility.
And that can feed into those wider gender gaps we still unfortunately see in many workplaces. It's subtle, but the impact is real.
So here's our promise for this deep dive. By the end, you're going to walk away with really specific, actionable phrases and proven strategies. You'll know how to use smart English to win respect.
Whether that's making your point clearly in a team meeting or confidently negotiating for that next step in your career, you'll have the tools.
Okay, let's start with maybe the toughest part, the confidence issue. Why do so many smart, capable women tend to stay quiet when they actually have something valuable to say? We need to look at those internal barriers first.
There's a fascinating field experiment our sources highlighted. University students offered actual incentives to present solutions they'd worked on.
And what did they find?
Well, here's the kicker. The public speaking gap, as they called it. When women were told they'd have to present in front of a large class, their willingness to participate just plummeted.
How much are we talking?
By 18.7 percentage points, compared to when they only had to present privately, face-to-face to an instructor. That's huge.
Wow. And men?
Almost no difference for the men. Whether it was public or private, their participation rate stayed pretty much the same.
Okay, so that really points to anxiety, right? The visibility, the potential judgment from a large audience. It affects women much more significantly in that context.
It really seems so. And crucially, the insight here isn't about ability. The women who did step up and present, they performed just as well, sometimes even better than the men.
Right, so the reluctance isn't, I can't do this. It's more like, I feel too anxious to do this.
Exactly. It's the anxiety, not a lack of skill. And you see this reflected in the internal reasons women often give for holding back, even from just asking a question in a meeting or lecture.
Yeah, the sources listed things like, I couldn't work up the nerve, or I was worried I misunderstood something, and that really painful one, I didn't feel clever enough to ask.
Oof. That last one really hits home for many, I think, and that internal doubt, it directly seeds into language habits that, unfortunately, can undermine your perceived competence in real time.
Okay, so let's tackle these habits head on. Practical stuff you can change. Number one offender, according to many experts, the word just.
Just. The great minimizer.
It is. We sprinkle it everywhere, don't we? I just wanted to check in. I just had a quick question. I just think maybe...
And subconsciously, it sounds like you're apologizing, right? Apologizing for taking up time, for having an opinion, for even being there.
Totally. So think about your emails, your requests, instead of, I just wanted to follow up. Try deleting it.
I wanted to follow up on the budget report. See? Stronger, clearer, more direct. It's a tiny word with a big impact.
Okay, what's next on the hit list? Qualifiers. Those phrases we use to soften our statements before we even make them.
Right. Things like, I'm no expert, but, or, this might be a silly question, but, Or, I'm not sure if this makes sense, but...
Why do we do that? It's like we're pre-apologizing for our own ideas.
Exactly. You're basically telling people not to take your next words too seriously. You're undermining your own credibility before you even state your point.
So the advice is...
Cut them ruthlessly. Assume your perspective has value. State your idea clearly without the preamble. If it is an area outside your core expertise, you can frame it differently later, maybe like, from my perspective in marketing, it looks like. But don't lead with the self-deprecation.
Got it. No pre-apologies. And the third big one, this is maybe more subtle. It's about how our voice sounds. The uptalk trap.
Yes, uptalk. That's when your voice goes up at the end of a sentence. So a statement sounds like a question, like, we need to finalize the report by Friday, even when you know that's the deadline.
Yeah, I hear that quite a bit. It's common in casual chat, maybe.
It is, but here's the thing. Successful women leaders, especially in more formal or high-stakes settings, consciously avoid it.
Why is that so important?
Because that rising inflection, that question mark sound, it signals uncertainty. It sounds like you're seeking agreement or validation rather than stating a fact or a confident opinion. It just reduces your perceived authority.
So what's the alternative? How do you project that authority?
You want your pitch to generally fall or stay level at the end of a declarative sentence. A firm, confident tone. Think declarative, not interrogative. It sounds more decisive.
Okay, so lower the pitch at the end of statements. Got it. Confidence killers. Just wall fighters up talk. Kill them.
Pretty much. It's about cleaning up the language to let your competence shine through.
All right, so we've dealt with some internal confidence gremlins and the language they produce. Let's move on to actually speaking up, presenting ourselves effectively. Clarity seems key here.
Absolutely. Clarity equals credibility. Especially for, say, B1 level English learners aiming for professional roles, using precise language shows you pay attention to detail. And employers really value that.
So this gets into grammar a bit, doesn't it? Making sure we're accurate.
It does. And it doesn't have to be super complex grammar, but getting common things right makes a big difference. Let's take a classic example that often trips people up. Less versus fewer.
Yes. Countable versus uncountable nouns.
Exactly. You use fewer for things you can count individually, like people, reports, tasks, chairs. You use less for things you can't count as separate items, like time, money, water, information.
So give us a workplace example. What's the mistake and the correction?
A common mistake might be, we have less projects this quarter. Projects are countable. So the precise professional way to say it is, we have fewer projects this quarter.
It sounds sharper, more correct.
It does. It's a small fix, but it signals precision. Another big one is avoiding the passive voice where possible.
Oh, the passive voice, the language of mystery. Mistakes were made.
Exactly. Or the report was submitted late. The problem is it often avoids responsibility.
Yeah.
Who made the mistakes? Who submitted the report late?
It feels weak somehow. Evasive.
It can, yes. And it's often less direct. The active voice is usually stronger and clearer. Instead of mistakes were made by the team, just say the team made mistakes.
Or I submitted the report late, if that's the case. Takes ownership.
Precisely. Active voice generally leads to clearer, more accountable, and more respected communication. Own the action.
Okay, clear language, active voice. Now let's get into the meeting room dynamics. We talked about that scenario earlier. You say something smart, silence, then someone else repeats it and gets the credit. How do you stop that? How do you reclaim your idea?
You absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Letting it slide means you lose visibility, you lose credit for your contribution, and respected leaders, they just don't let that happen.
But it can feel awkward, right? Especially if English isn't your first language. You might worry about sounding, I don't know, aggressive or confrontational.
It's about having the right phrases ready. You need something polite but firm. So when Bob repeats your point, you can jump back in smoothly.
Like what? What's the magic phrase?
Something like, thanks, Bob. As I was saying earlier, we should focus on X. Or, glad we're on the same page. Building on the point I made just now, perhaps we could also consider Y.
Okay, so you acknowledge them briefly, but immediately link it back to your prior statement.
Yes. You're reclaiming ownership politely. Another technique is amplification, even amplifying yourself.
How does that work?
You could say something like, thank you for emphasizing that point name. To elaborate on what I was getting at earlier, I think the next step should be.
Ah, I like that. Elaborate on what I was saying. It acknowledges them, but firmly recenters the idea with you.
Exactly. It's collaborative and assertive. It shows you're leading the thought process.
And while we're talking about projecting confidence in meetings, it's not just the words, is it? Our sources mentioned posture, presence.
Oh, absolutely critical. Executive presence, they call it. If you're feeling that internal anxiety we talked about, you almost have to consciously compensate with your physical presence.
So practical tips.
Sit up straight. Stand tall when presenting. Make deliberate eye contact, not staring, but connecting. Use a firm, clear tone. Avoid fidgeting. Research shows this confident body language actually makes you feel more confident, and it definitely signals competence and authority to others.
Fake it till you make it, but with your posture.
Kind of. Or rather, use your body to help you become it. It reinforces the message your words are trying to send.
Okay, good reminder. Body language matters. Now let's shift to some really high-stakes situations. Negotiation, setting boundaries. This is where respect is really tested. You mentioned something called the politeness paradox.
Yes, it's an interesting conflict. Many cultures, and often women specifically, are socialized to be highly polite, accommodating, conflict avoidant. But in many professional environments, particularly Western ones perhaps, excessive deference can be misinterpreted.
Misinterpreted how?
As weakness, as lacking conviction, as being unassertive. It can actually undermine the respect you're trying to earn through competence.
That's a tricky balance then. You want to be collegial, but not a doormat. How do you navigate that? You don't want to seem difficult either.
It's about understanding that true respect comes from competence, authenticity, and clear boundaries, not just from always saying yes or smoothing things over. Politeness is a valuable tool, but it shouldn't become a barrier to expressing your needs or your expert opinion.
So assertive communication, not aggressive, not passive.
Exactly. And a key skill here, maybe the most important one for boundaries, is learning to say no effectively.
The dreaded no. How do you do it politely but firmly, especially when you're maybe feeling pressured or already overloaded?
Practice a simple, clear script. Link your no to your existing commitments and your desire to maintain quality, rather than making it sound like a personal rejection or just an emotional, I'm too busy.
Give us an example. Someone asks you to take on another project you genuinely don't have bandwidth for.
You could say, "Thank you so much for thinking of me for this project. I really appreciate the offer. Right now, though, I need to focus 100% on delivering mention your key current projects to the best of my ability. So unfortunately, I won't be able to take this on at this time."
Okay, it's polite, it shows appreciation, but it's a clear no and justifies it based on professional priorities.
Precisely. It sets a boundary while reinforcing your commitment to quality work. That commands respect.
Right. Which brings us to maybe the ultimate high-stakes conversation, salary negotiation. Every word feels loaded there. We need some smart phrases.
Absolutely. First rule, frame it as collaboration, not confrontation. Start with enthusiasm for the role or the company. I'm really excited about this opportunity and the chance to contribute to mention something specific. Set a positive, collaborative tone from the outset.
Okay, tone set. Now the actual ask. How do you ground it so it doesn't sound like you just picked a number out of thin air?
Research is your best friend here. You must know the market rate for the role, your experience level, and your location. Then, you use language that shows you've done your homework.
So instead of, I want X amount.
Use research-backed phrasing. Based on my research of similar roles in the industry city market, and considering my number of years of experience in specific skill, I believe a salary of specific number accurately reflects the value I bring.
That sounds much more professional. It shifts it from personal desire to objective market data.
Instantly. Now, what if they come back with an offer that's lower than you expected or researched? How do you push back gracefully?
Yeah, you don't want to just say, nope, too low.
Definitely not. Avoid emotional reactions. Ask a calm, open-ended question. A great phrase is that number flexible at all?
Okay, simple. What does that achieve?
It opens the door for negotiation without being demanding. It signals you're willing to discuss, but that the current number isn't quite right. It also gives them space to potentially mention other benefits, bonus, extra vacation, training budget, if the base salary is truly fixed.
Right, and if you do need to state your minimum requirement firmly, you mentioned avoiding blunt, I need, or I want.
Yes, there's a more collaborative way. Try this phrase. I would be more comfortable if we could settle on a base salary around your target number or minimum acceptable number.
I would be more comfortable if. That feels professional, but still clearly states your position. Sets an anchor.
Exactly. It's assertive, but maintains that collaborative feel. It helps the hiring manager understand your needs in a productive way.
Okay, these external language shifts are powerful, but they really need that internal shift too, right? Especially tackling imposter syndrome, that feeling of being a fraud despite your accomplishments.
Oh, definitely. The external strategies work best when you start believing them internally. Our sources really emphasize focusing on proof, not perfection, meaning actively acknowledge your actual achievements.
So stop deflecting compliments. Stop saying, oh, I was just lucky, or anyone could have done it.
Please stop doing that. When someone praises your work, own it. Don't minimize it.
What should you say instead?
A simple, confident thank you works. Or add a brief acknowledgement of your effort. Thank you, I put a lot of work into that project and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Or, thank you, I'm glad the results were so positive.
It feels a bit weird at first, maybe, if you're used to deflecting.
It can, but practicing this helps you internalize your competence. It reinforces the reality of your skills and achievements, countering that nagging inner critic. You're using facts, your successes, to build genuine self-belief.
Okay, so owning praise is part of the strategy. Proof, not perfection. I like that.
It's about building that authentic confidence from the inside out, which then naturally supports the strong, clear communication we've been discussing.
Right. It all connects. Okay, wow. We have covered a serious amount of ground today. Let's try and pull this all together. What's the main takeaway?
I think the core message is that winning respect and recognition, especially using English as a professional tool, isn't just about one thing. It's a combination.
A combination of what?
It's pairing that precise, clear language, good grammar, cutting the justs and qualifiers, managing your tone with assertive self-advocacy.
Which means?
Speaking up confidently, reclaiming your ideas, setting boundaries by saying no when needed, and crucially, owning your successes instead of minimizing them. That blend proves your competence and naturally commands recognition.
So smart English is both clear communication and confident self-representation.
Exactly. And if you think about the bigger picture, this isn't just about sounding good. Improving your professional English proficiency is genuinely linked to empowerment for women globally.
How?
It builds confidence in the workplace, absolutely. But it also increases your ability to influence decisions, to participate fully, to advocate for yourself and others. Ultimately, it directly impacts your ability to build a successful, dignified career and life. Your language skills are a powerful lever.
Okay, that's a powerful connection. Your strategic language choices really are like a superpower in the professional arena. So let's leave our listeners with something to chew on, a final provocative thought.
Right.
Thinking about everything we've discussed today, which single specific language habit will you commit to changing starting today to build your own authentic confidence? Will it be eliminating just? Consciously lowering your pitch at the end of sentences? Practicing that assertive no?
Just pick one concrete thing to focus on first. That first step can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. We really hope this deep dive has been valuable for you.
Yeah, hope you got some useful tools out of it.
If you found it helpful, please do like this video, share it with maybe a colleague or friend who might benefit, and definitely subscribe to Podcast Popcorn for more deep dives.
And we genuinely want to hear from you. Please drop a comment below. Let us know what topic you'd like us to dive into next.
Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.